What is going on, everybody? Welcome in here to Rover Sports, and this is another edition of the Rover Sports NFL reaction show. I believe this is NFL, and this is week 11 of the NFL this week. So many interesting kind of storylines and games today. Let's just start at the top. The biggest storyline is the Indianapolis Colts absolutely destroying the Buffalo Bills. Jonathan Taylor with 5 touchdowns in the game. I got to admit, guys, I got to go back, watch this tape, and the Buffalo Bills, I mean, they are really struggling right now. It's not been the same season. You look at Indiana football, right? You look at Indiana, and Indiana last year in the COVID year had an exceptional year. And for Josh Allen, year 2, he was pretty decent. Made the playoffs, played really well in some spots, but was pretty inconsistent. And now this year, he has been very inconsistent. This could be a case too much of maybe going and targeting Stephon Diggs. If we really look back at Buffalo and something that could be a problem, it's the Brian Daboll offense could rely on the passing game too much. Josh Allen throws the ball 35 times in this contest. And I'm really anxious to go back and look at this feed because, the Buffalo Bills, the physicality in the run game, the Colts just have a really good run game. And Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin, he's kind of, emerging into a really good back. And the Colts have won. They've won 3 out of 4. And they're starting to roll. And the Bucs come into Indy next week for a 1:00 game, which should really be a show. But this is certainly, an interesting result out there in Orchard Park, and it pretty much gives the Patriots the inside line to the division. The Patriots, they still got to play the Colts. The Tennessee Titans losing today to the Houston Texans, that really helps out the Patriots. And Tennessee, they lost to the Jets. It's not totally shocking. I mean, I told people that Tennessee, they're not a threat. Ryan Tannehill, he came in for Marcus Mariota. He had the best running back in the league. And he's had like 2 decent seasons with A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, they're amazing players. Arthur Smith was an incredible offensive coordinator. And I even think Arthur Smith's doing a really good job in Atlanta. I mean, they're 4-6, and their roster that they're working with is one of the worst rosters in the NFL. So they lose Arthur Smith, they lose Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill today, 4 interceptions. Ever since he was in Miami, he played really well in the game against the Ravens in that wild card, in that divisional round game. And the Ravens really struggled too. But Tannehill did his part, and then they couldn't beat the Chiefs. And ever since then, Tennessee then lost in the first round last year of the playoffs. And it's looking like the Tennessee Titans this year, I don't even know if they're going to be able to beat the Colts in their own division. I mean, because it's Ryan Tannehill. I mean, if you're in Miami and you can never really win anything of substance, sometimes it's the player. You're looking right now at Jalen Hurts, and he's taking a team in the Philadelphia Eagles that doesn't really have a lot of talent, and he's winning with this ball club. He's rushing for touchdowns. He's throwing it deep down the field. He's hitting Devontae Smith. He's making big plays at the end of games. And I'll be the first to admit, I did not see Jalen Hurts really being like a really good quarterback that could start for a long time in the NFL. But the emergence of his, in the NFL game, he's plenty fast. And in college, he was fast, but I just never saw him being this fast and this dynamic with the ball. The Eagles' offensive line is absolutely great for Jalen Hurts. I mean, Sirianni has been a blessing. Sirianni and Steichen have really helped out Jalen Hurts. And, his throwing release is kind of a loopy throwing release. I don't know if he could really drive it into the tightest of windows. That's going to continue to get better, but Jalen Hurts is durable. He has the height at 6'2", and the guy is a big guy. and he's just durable. Like when he's a guy who weight lifts as a quarterback. So I think that it's a real winning formula of running the ball at the Philadelphia Eagles and kind of playing like Jalen Hurts does, which is a great improviser. And I think that the Giants actually wanted to build their team like the Philadelphia Eagles. They just never could get the offensive coordinator correct. And Daniel Jones, he only stays in the pocket where Jalen Hurts is a natural mover outside of the pocket. And today, watching Jalen Hurts, it makes you have more hope in a guy like Malik Willis, because Malik Willis can really move and has a great feel for the game, like what I've watched of Malik Willis. You put Malik Willis with NFL talent, like a team like the Giants or like the Detroit Lions, you draft a Malik Willis, then you become a downhill rushing attack. And that's where quarterbacks thrive and are successful. Jimmy Garoppolo thrives when he has a really good running game. I think Jimmy threw it today 21 times. That's plenty enough. He made plenty of big throws today in the game. He missed the gimme layup throw, but the 49ers are rolling now. People will look at this win and say it's versus Jacksonville. But the fact is, look at the Houston Texans go into Tennessee and beat the Tennessee Titans. Look at how the New York Jets defeated the Cincinnati Bengals. So every team in the NFL has talent and has ability. And when the Eagles beat the Lions by 40, nobody was talking about them. Now that they've won 5 straight games and they went to Denver and won, they went and played great against the Saints. Now this team picks up momentum, and that's what you do. You win a couple ugly so you can win them pretty. And that's what you really have to follow when you look at the National Football League and you look at this league in general. Howie Roseman's done a really good job with the Eagles, actually. It's looking like the move to go on from Carson Wentz is not going to hurt this team, because now you look at the Eagles' schedule. They get the Redskins, they get the Giants, they get the Cowboys at the end. They have the Jets sprinkled in. It's really looking like it's going to be a successful season for the Philadelphia Eagles here as we go down the stretch. It's looking like they're going to make one of these playoff spots. But San Francisco's really turned it up the last few weeks. Minnesota versus San Francisco next week is going to be absolutely incredible. Kirk Cousins is good to have one of these historic, incredible games. He just can never do it when it's time to win a playoff game. I mean, he did it in New Orleans, I should say, but it's frustrating with Kirk, I guess, because he did it in New Orleans, but at the same time, he had that terrible game against Chicago with Mitchell Trubisky. Primetime Kirk Cousins shows up. He's a decent quarterback. You give him time, he can be pretty good. He's an inconsistent performer. Today, though, he was lights out good against Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Jefferson helps plays. When you lob a ball up along the right sideline, Justin Jefferson helps you out. It's a good play. So they always play close games. Their defense isn't where it needs to be. Kirk Cousins will make back-breaking mistakes in a lot of games. He'll really hurt his team. He plays down to the level of competition, up to the level of competition. They never can get it right and actually win games decisively. Now, if Kirk Cousins was in a really steady organization, unlike the Redskins and the Vikings, if he was at the Patriots or the Steelers, would Kirk be coasting? Maybe. I like Kirk Cousins at the end of games more than I like Matthew Stafford. At least Kirk Cousins has won the NFC East with Washington. At least Kirk Cousins has gotten into the playoffs with the Minnesota Vikings and went down to the Superdome and threw a game-winning pass to Kyle Rudolph. So at least Kirk Cousins has actually gotten you to the playoffs. And you look at Case Keenum, he had a great defense. He had that one good year, and he had that one lucky throw to Stephon Diggs in the playoffs to get to the NFC Championship. He has the same number of playoff wins as Kirk Cousins does. So Kirk Cousins is a very punchable target, He's a guy who likes Creed, he just is like, he's kind of an shucks personality, the nice guy, the Mr. Rogers type of personality. From the TV show, that is. And Kirk's been taking a lot of heat, and I think that he's a really decent quarterback, and he's starting to spray the ball deep down the field. Now, he doesn't have the running skills of Jalen Hurts. All right, he can't really improvise like a Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, but he's a fine quarterback, and he's playing at a good level right now, and he's stabilizing it in Minnesota. For them to beat the Chargers like they did, it's impressive. But with Kirk, unfortunately, I think I trust Jimmy Garoppolo more next week. I guess I trust Shanahan a lot more than Mike Zimmer. But that was a big win, a back-and-forth kind of game, makes the big throw to Thielen to set up the field goal. That game was an absolute shootout out there. Chicago can't get it done. Justin Fields ends up getting hurt again. He really struggled in this game up until when he got injured. So the rookie quarterbacks are going through it right now. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, you look at Trevor's numbers today, very pedestrian sort of numbers. This offense is just stuck. Jacksonville's offense, and no real signs of life out in Jacksonville. The only quarterback that's a rookie that's showing signs of life happens to have the best situation, and that happens to be Mac Jones. And that brings me to my next point. The New England Patriots are poised right now. They could take over this entire AFC. You have the Chiefs that are coming on strong, so we all knew Kansas City would come back, and I wasn't panicking one bit. Steve Spagnuolo, that defense, they did not care in the month of September and October. They only peak at the right time, which is November. Who gives a crap about how the Chiefs played against the Buffalo Bills several weeks ago? We only care now about the Colts beating the brains out of Buffalo and the Kansas City defense shutting down Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Ezekiel Elliott in one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. Chris Jones, that was a beatdown. The pass rush was killing the Dallas Cowboys all game. Chiefs can win in a multitude of ways. Their defense is really good. Spags is awesome. Honey Badger, it doesn't matter. This defense is clutch. They have a winning DNA about them. They know how to turn up at the right time. They beat the Giants with defense. They go out. They take care of the Raiders as well. Oakland is done. I told you guys that. The John Gruden loss was huge. The interim coach only could get it done for a week or two, and then the Ruggs thing happened. This thing is just about over in Raider land, but everybody knew that anyway. The Bengals hang on to the race in the AFC. Cincinnati kind of hanging tough there in the AFC. You look right now at the AFC, the Colts are going to be a stingy playoff team. They could run the football pretty well. They could play a little bit of defense. Buffalo, again, Buffalo's going to have their chance at New England in a couple of weeks. So I think Buffalo, New England, Kansas City, those teams are at the top of the heap. The Chargers are pretty decent, going to be a decent wild card, going to be a tough game with Justin Herbert. Herbert is that dangerous in a playoff game. He really is. With Staley, with that defense, they can make some serious noise. Look at Cleveland is winning ugly. Cleveland, Cincinnati, those teams are going to continue to eat each other up. The Tennessee Titans, let's see. The Titans go to the Patriots. They host Jacksonville. Then they go at Pittsburgh, home Niners, home Dolphins, Titans and Texans. I think the Tennessee Titans can actually miss the playoffs. I think that they're losing this game next week. They're getting blown out at the Patriots. Then they have a bye. They come home. They're going to beat Jacksonville, but then they're going to go to Tennessee. They're going to go to Pittsburgh in December. Cold game at Heinz Field. They're going to lose that game. Then it's Thursday night football against the 49ers. The 49ers are going to roll into Nashville and win. And then the Miami Dolphins are actually probably going to win. So you look at this entire league right now. You get the Chargers. You got Cincinnati that's up there. The Cleveland Browns are going to try to make a run. And, of course, you have the Colts. So there's only 3 wild card spots. So in this division, Kansas City versus the Chargers, I still got the Chiefs winning this division outright. The Chiefs are going to be pretty damn good. I got the Patriots winning the AFC East. Then you look at Buffalo down the stretch. They get the Falcons at home, at the Panthers at home. They can win those games. They need to win this Thursday against the Saints, or their season's on life support. Buffalo, as it sits, that's going to be 10-7. You're going to have some major tiebreakers here in the AFC. The Chargers, can the Chargers get hot? Chargers Bengals will be a huge game for the Chargers, but I'm liking how this Chargers team is playing. I like the momentum that they have beating the Steelers. They're going to go into Denver next week and get a win, and they're going to start to peak right. I think the Chargers are squarely in the playoffs, and the Chargers are going to compete for the division. I could see them at 11 wins, the Chargers. I could see them going maybe 12-5, 11-5. The Chiefs are also probably going to go 12-5. The Patriots, as they stand, can they go 13-4? Can they win out? It is possible. If they win out at Buffalo, that's the game on Monday night before the bye. If they do that, they can possibly win out. Now, Miami's playing better, but Miami's probably too far gone. I mean, they're going to have to run the table. The Dolphins are going to have to run the table. They're going to get hot, and they're going to have a chance last week of the season. I love how this Dolphins team is playing as well. I have them winning all of their games. Tua's balling right now. The defense is playing decent football right now. I want to see Miami get back into this race. The Browns don't look that impressive. The Browns, they're going to Baltimore. That could be a death nail, unfortunately, for Baker Mayfield. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan. I think Baker is a good quarterback that you could get cheap, kind of sign him to a one-year deal. I think you can win with him. I think he can make some throws from the pocket. I just don't know. He's just not that second contract guy. He's not playing like it right now. And we'll see if Baker, gosh, I don't want to doubt Baker Mayfield, but he's just been really bad. You know, he's just a smaller quarterback that's not that mobile. He has a big arm. But again, I think that Kevin Stefanski's actually harmed Baker Mayfield because he's really not trusted Baker. It's been a running team. And I want Baker Mayfield to, again, get more leash, more latitude. I think Baker Mayfield, you should be pretty excited if you have Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield still wins games. He's still got Cleveland in a position that they're in. The AFC is just really, really hard with the Chiefs, the Chargers. The Chiefs are really coming on strong. Justin Herbert's coming on strong. The Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, like we illustrated, the Ravens, the Bengals are so much better. The whole entire AFC North is a slugfest. So I like this AFC. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC. I don't think the Titans are amongst that team. I think the Titans are going down. I think the Colts can find a way to win that division. The number one seed could as well be the New England Patriots. And if I had to pick a team to go out of the AFC, I'm either going Patriots or I'm going Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe that's not too big of a hot take. I don't know. But it's going to be the Patriots, most likely. Go out of maybe the Patriots win the entire AFC. Maybe they get the number one bye. It's going to come down to that game in Buffalo. But Buffalo today, losing to the Colts, this could be the death nail of their season. The Buffalo Bills, they could be fighting for a wild card spot. They are not playing complimentary. Their offense hasn't been good all season. They don't know how to run the ball. They needed to be like a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, where Josh Allen throws it 30 times a game. Daboll, again, if Daboll was going to move on, he kind of had to. Now, again, who's going to hire him as a head coach when this offense has absolutely gone the crap? And it just shows you in the NFL, in this non-COVID era. I think last year, the COVID year with no fans, defenses were terrible. Russell Wilson was great. Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom, everybody put up big numbers when there's no fans, because it's like a scrimmage at 7-on-7. But when there's fans, I mean, it's a whole different element, because it gets damn loud and everything changes. Your snap count changes, the cadence, the adrenaline of that you're throwing the ball with. And you're seeing that with Josh Allen right now. And you're seeing how defenders are picking up into this offense. The Bigger linebackers are starting to come out of the NFL. You're starting to see teams start to run the ball in the middle of the field because the defensive linemen to cover the spread are all smaller now. So now you're seeing teams like San Francisco, Philadelphia, the Ravens. They are running the football up the gut with quarterbacks and with running backs, and that's how you win. And the Eagles' formula was incredible today against the Saints. Now, can the Giants or somebody slow down the Eagles' running game and force Jalen Hurts into long third downs? That's the key to beating Philly, obviously. That's the key to beating a lot of teams. But the NFL, guys, it's 17 games, and it's 17 games of absolute just it's a mess. The NFL is a mess in several degrees. The NFL's a mess. The targeting call sucks. Roughing the passer, illegal man downfield, holding. The refs are a huge part of the game. The 17 games is really it's crappy. It's sucky. I don't like it at all because teams flat out are not caring on certain weeks. Like this year when the Kansas City Chiefs, let's look at the Chiefs' schedule. Early in December when they played the Eagles, they barely cared. When the Chiefs played the Tennessee Titans and lost 27-3, now the Titans lose to the Houston Texans, and now the Kansas City Chiefs beat the almighty Dallas Cowboys, and Dak Prescott, an MVP candidate, CD Lamb, one of the best receivers in the league, a really good offensive line, a great play caller in Kellen Moore. Now that happens. The Broncos beat the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. Are you kidding me with all this stuff? It's ridiculous. The Saints have the best run defense in the NFL. They go to Philly, and now the Eagles run for 1,000,000 yards on them. The Vikings beat the Packers. It's just ridiculous. It's so random. There's no pattern to anything. Like, you're analyzing stuff in September and October that doesn't mean anything of note. When you're in college football, that's the thing about college football, is when Oregon beats Ohio State in week 3, that game has major implications down the road. And when teams play in college football, there's 12 games you could sink your teeth into. Hey, this team's really good. This team struggles here. And usually it's consistent. There's a pattern of consistency. The NFL with 17 games, players basically taking September off, the Chiefs taking September off, and with 7 wild cards anyway, in the NFC, you're going to get either Philadelphia that had a horrible September and October, but they're not going to get punished at all, because you have 17 games. If it was 16 games, they would be 8-8. And the key is that we should have two buys and 6 wild card teams. This extra playoff game, we're going to get some horrible playoff games, just like Saints Bears last year. We're going to get terrible playoff games, and the product is hot garbage in the NFL a lot of the time. I didn't even watch Steelers Chargers and the Chiefs game. I don't care. I don't work for the NFL. Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets a penalty for pointing at a guy that he's crossing the end zone. What, a 5-year-old's watching and is not going to do that too? 10-year-olds have more fun playing, or 10-year-olds do more enjoyment, more celebrations, whatever. And then, oh my God, the play on the sideline, a Cowboys guy grabs the Chiefs guy. The Chiefs guy gets up. He's frustrated. He's pointing him out. The Chiefs guy gets flagged for pointing out the Cowboys guy, although the Cowboys guy was punching the Chiefs guy in the head and grabbing their face mask and twisting their head. You can look up that play, guys. But anyway, the league makes no sense. I guess it's fun. I try to figure it out. It's a puzzle every single week. The Patriots are a consistent team. The Chiefs are kind of turning it on right now. You're seeing more defense being played right now in the league, like Kansas City. It's not all offense. Fans are back. Russell Wilson again. Like, what the heck's wrong with Russell Wilson? That's a really weird storyline. Again, if I were a team, I would be offering a 2 first rounders for Wilson immediately in the summer, because you get Russell Wilson, you get him at a premium rate. You get him at his best value for you because his value is low. Unfortunately for Shane Waldron, it's not happening. It's not going well. Pete Carroll's going to end up getting fired. I mean, Pete's done. He's older. That team's been regressing for a really, really long time. They've never had a complete team. And I told you pay Russell Wilson all that money. I said that contract was hot garbage. Joe Douglas, the Jamal Adams trade, that trade was honestly terrible for the Seattle Seahawks. They have drafted well. They have done a really, really horrendous job of building this thing. You don't pay Russell Wilson all that money. You let him walk and you build through the draft again. You think that the Seahawks would rather have Jalen Hurts on a second-year contract with a decent team around him, with a really good offensive line, or would they rather have Russell Wilson and receivers and no team at all and let Colt McCoy just humiliate them? I mean, it's ridiculous how bad Seattle is. Ridiculous. Now, Russell Wilson, here's the thing, right? Small quarterback, really small quarterback, runs around, is very mobile, right? He doesn't take a lot of punishment, but he's smaller and he runs around. So then you're thinking, how good can Russ continue to be, right? Drew Brees deteriorated, but Drew deteriorated late. Russell's 32. Going to be 33 years old. Listen, if you're a team like the Giants, you need life. The Giants and the Steelers need life. The Giants, they should go out there and get Russell Wilson. There's no doubt about it. The Steelers should go try to sign him. All right? Russell Wilson is still a commodity. He's a leader. You get him in a good offense. You encourage Russell again to run the ball. He gets away from Pete Carroll. I think Russell still has 5 great years left in him. I do. I'm not quitting on Russell Wilson just because of this season. I know it's going to be a story. I ain't quitting on Wilson. The rookie quarterbacks, again, Urban Meyer continues to be a disaster. Pretty much was right on that one, but a lot of people were correct on that one. Justin Fields isn't very good so far, but again, he's younger, right? Can Justin Fields be Jalen Hurts? Now, Justin Fields, can Justin put on the weight Jalen has? Probably. I mean, Jalen Hurts is just as accurate maybe as Justin Fields. The running game's just not the same in Chicago. It's not. And Matt Nagy, he's just about gone. This is a terrible team. They're barely playing together. We all predicted that Chicago would not be very good this year. Tennessee, I'll give them credit. They're 8-3, but again, they're not very good. The Colts, I said that they would kind of make the wild card, and they're really rounding into shape. Kansas City was bad at the beginning of the year, but they're really getting it together. They're going to factor in and be there at the end. The Patriots are the real surprise. I mean, first couple of weeks, it was really ugly, but now finally Bill Belichick's getting it under control. You look at last year with COVID and no home field advantage at all. The defenses sucked because there was no home field advantage. That's just the facts. The refs could call everything. Every game was a neutral site. Every game was a scrimmage. You can communicate all the time. Defenders, too, they get juiced from the crowd. It's all adrenaline. It's all science. I mean, defenders get juiced from a crowd. Referees are making calls on quarterbacks that are horrible because there's no fans to hold them accountable. It's different, all right? There's a reason why fans are there. You want to play these games in a practice facility, in a scrimmage, preseason football. Who does well in preseason? The offenses do. The environment's dead. So for Josh Allen, he's got a lot of questions to answer. He got paid. He got paid the big money. I mean, he's got to hold up his end of the bargain. I think Stephon Diggs, and you look at Buffalo, when you have a number one receiver like that, in Minnesota, it caused headaches. And when you have a number one receiver, you have a burden to get that receiver the football. You combine that with no running game. Sean McDermott, I always said McDermott's fine as a coach. We're going to see his medal, though, this week. I mean, it's looking like the Patriots. It's looking like everybody. It's looking like Bill Belichick's going to sink his teeth into the Buffalo Bills. And it's a shame. What, last year in COVID was their one chance? God, I mean, they're not even going to give the Buffalo Bills a home game. The fans of Buffalo are not even going to be allowed to see a home game. That is depressing as all get out. I mean, Jesus. I mean, Buffalo was looking like they were going to host a home game. And last year, come on, what did you have 10 people in the stands? I mean, It was a pandemic. So it was a deadly pandemic. I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is I feel bad for Buffalo fans, and I know that some people will argue that there were a couple of fans there last year. That's not the Ralph. That's not the Ralph, okay? When there's 20 people at the stadium, that's not the Ralph. So, I mean, Buffalo, I don't think it's going to happen anymore. The defense is not really there. You're paying Josh all this money. Unfortunately, when you pay the quarterback the money, it just never really works. You know, Mahomes is making it work. Even when the Patriots with Tom Brady, they paid him, and it's because they had Bill Belichick. He could put together defense and scrap. Seattle didn't work. They paid Russell Wilson. They're not winning now. Even though the player does well, you don't win. So you got to build your team. You got to build your team. Detroit, they got to build this team. They got to build it with DeAndre Swift and running the football. They got to get Malik Willis because they need a quarterback. When you have a running quarterback, you cannot guard a running quarterback. The New York Jets and Robert Saleh, the team is dancing after they get sacks. It is ridiculous. The culture is so bad. And Robert, like, where's the energy you see in San Francisco? Where's the fun? Where's the light? Where is the energy and the juice? You can't let the job take the juice out of you, or you're going to end up being Dan Mullen. You're going to end up getting fired. You're going to be miserable. Football can do that to you. This job can do that to people. They need to reset. Nick Sirianni, after the Raiders game, he reset. Arthur Smith pumps it out, resets. I really hope Arthur doesn't slip either. Brian Flores, steady, got it under control. Mike Tomlin every year goes through it, gets it under control, finishes the year out, makes the playoffs. Who can ride the wave, who can sustain, and who can stay on board? Mike Zimmer, in fairness to Zimmer, this week, he stays on board. I'm always ready. I think Zimmer's still done at the end of the year, probably. They don't make the playoffs. He's probably gone. He's been there a while, though, and he's still stayed on board. It's tough to stay on board, guys. That's the storyline of the NFL this week. The Titans lose. Mike Vrabel now. The offensive coordinator, it's getting hairy. If Mike Vrabel missed the playoffs this year, next year with Tannehill, this whole thing could go to crap. Paying him $30 million. John Robinson again, an aging running back. It doesn't look too good. Frank Reich, Carson Wentz, that's looking good. It's looking like both parties are winning. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they have the Dolphins pick. That's not going to be as good if the Dolphins keep rolling. The Colts, it's looking like they'll get a first for Wentz, but if the Colts make the playoffs, it'll be in the mids. I think Miami will be up there in the mids as well. The Eagles, ironically, the Eagles are going to have double-digit, probably in picks in the teens in the 3 picks, like 12, 15, 17, for example. The Jets, again, there's no juice on the sideline. There's special teams errors all over the field. I watched that game closely. But Tua is dealing. Tua, just stay healthy. Keep putting together these good weeks. You can win with Tua. You can win with 16 for 22, 195, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That is Jimmy G. That's Tua. You can win with efficient quarterbacks in this league. And Tua, listen, Tua's a young quarterback now. He can grow within Charlie Fry in this offensive system. They end the year, they end it rolling. Tua goes in the next year. You get yourself a backup. You try to sustain. Gosh, you finished this year well. Next year has to be your year. You could take over for Buffalo. You could take over for the Jets. You could compete with New England as much as you're going to compete with Mac Jones and that team next year. But Miami's got to get to 8 wins. They got to get to 9-8 on the season at least. Miami's got to roll through the schedule. They can do it. Miami can do it. Tua Tagovailoa can do it. I'm excited for Miami. I'm excited for San Francisco. I told you guys about the Eagles, although I don't like the Philadelphia Eagles. The Patriots are rolling. Kansas City is back. The Chargers I would not sleep on. What a week. What a week in the NFL. Am I overreacting to Buffalo losing to the Colts? I probably am a little bit, but I think Buffalo, I just don't see the path this year. I don't see them winning their division, and then I don't see anything that special happening. Maybe I'm totally dead off, dead wrong. The Chiefs and the Chargers. I haven't even mentioned the NFC playoff picture. I haven't even mentioned it. You got a lot of weird teams. You got the Packers, you got Tampa Bay. That's what it's probably going to end up being in the NFC. The Dallas Cowboys are a really interesting team because they haven't been there in a while. But I think Dak is going to I'm not overreacting to today with the Cowboys. They win their division. They're going to be in the semifinals too. It's probably going to be the top 4 seeds in the semifinals. Arizona won, but I'm still you still got the Rams and Sean McVay, who's done it over time. You get Bruce Arians, you get Matt LaFleur, Arians, Sean McVay. So pretty much the exact same as last year. And then the Dallas Cowboys are going to be your wild card team in there. It'll end up being Bucks and Packers. The AFC is a lot more exciting, all right? The AFC, guys, as much as I knock on Buffalo, Josh Allen's still going to be in the playoffs. Justin Herbert's going to be in the playoffs. Mahomes will be in the playoffs. Mahomes, Herbert, and Allen. Lamar Jackson will be in the playoffs, all right? He'll be hosting home games. And then you have Bill Belichick and Mac Jones. The AFC is freaking loaded. In the NFC, you got San Francisco. That's a fun team. You got the Rams. The Cardinals. I don't believe in the Cardinals. You got the Bucks and you got the Packers. And it's pretty much that. The NFC, I'm not as big of a fan of the NFC. I don't like Arizona that much. I think they're the next Tennessee. Cliff and that team, I don't think they can really get it done late in the year. I know they're 6-0 on the road. The Niners are the one interesting little wild card. The whole NFC South, the Saints, the Panthers, the Vikings and the Eagles. They're probably one and dones. Will the Eagles make it interesting? They always do in the playoffs, but I'm an AFC guy because the AFC has all the quarterbacks. You put an AFC versus an NFC tournament, I don't care. The AFC's beating the crap out of the NFC if we put a tournament. If this is a conference tournament or a college football tournament, the AFC is going to roll the NFC. But again, guys, this week was awesome. The Patriots got a lot better because the Titans lost, the Bills lost. The Ravens found a way with Huntley, which is what they always do. Detroit still can't win a game, which is frustrating. They just have no offense, no quarterback play. But their defense is starting to get a little bit of work in. They're starting to improve. They got to finish this job. They got Dalton against, the line. They got to win Thanksgiving Day. They go to Denver. They go to Atlanta. They go to Seattle. You got to win like 2 out of, you got to win 2 games, 2 and whatever, 2 and 14-1, and get a little momentum headed into next year. Anyway, guys, it was fun. Probably have more fun tomorrow. I'll get into some specifics tomorrow on Buffalo and the Colts. Can't wait to rewatch that game. Jimmy and Tua. Might do a whole segment devoted to Jimmy and Tua. Whatever games really stood out. In Kansas City, I saw their defense was balling. Everything else was kind of predictable. Tennessee's just not that good. It's not like Houston's incredible. The real shocker is the Colts. That really told us a lot. Like the Colts going to Buffalo told us a lot. The Dolphins and the Niners winning, it told me something because it tells me Jimmy Garoppolo can play and win. And Tua Tagovailoa is starting to stack it. He's starting to roll a little bit. Tua's on a nice little roll here. Won on Monday night. You got in that game on Thursday. He stacked it up with a good performance. He's playing the Panthers. That will be a ball game. So that told me something. All right. What else did I learn today? Baker Mayfield on the outs. The Chargers are back. The Chiefs are back. It reaffirmed what I thought about the Raiders. The Bengals are still hanging on. Don't count out Joe, even though there's too many teams, unfortunately, for Cincinnati, and they're young. But yeah, those are my opinions about this week in the NFL. It was a fun week. Crazy week. Texans game, Colts. The whole AFC South was bonkers today. Crazy. The NFC South gets hammered today. I told you about Philly a week ago. You got to look at the schedule. Look at the schedule. Look down the line. It's all about the schedule. It's all about timing. All right. When does your team peak in the season? See y'all later.